We are believers, we are teachers, we are all God's creatures. We are opening up the doors to our home. We cherish the moments when we see our children with faith burning strong, learning at their own paces, smiles on their glowing faces. We're caring for their education. Come and join our family at Eden Hope Academy.
Hello, we are on week 10 of Eden Hope Academy. Do you have your books ready? I'm so glad. Let's start out with week 10, and it starts out with our Bible. Can you read along with me? Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So what do you think this means? Be careful not to practice your righteousness, that means doing what God wants you to do, in front of others to be seen by them. So that's kind of like showing off or making sure that people know that you did something that was good. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. That means that you will get your reward right here from people going, oh, you did a good job. But you won't receive the reward that's to come from God. So it's really important not to show off, not to be a show off. So here we have in our box the verse again. And then it says, draw a picture of you doing something kind for another person without them even knowing about it. Can you do that? Can you draw a picture of yourself right here doing something kind for someone without them knowing it? And then I want you to try that this week. Can you do that? I bet you can. All right, now we're going to go on to George Friedrich Handel, Johann Sebastian Bach, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Ludwig van Beethoven, Hector Berlioz, we're going to work on that. Johann Strauss II were composers of the 17 and 1800s. Do you know what a composer was or is? A composer is someone who writes music. I want you to try to write some music and text it to me or email it to me below. I want to hear the music that you compose. Can you do that? So can you just play me some music and that'll be composing it? That would be super. Next is Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin in 1794. The machine revolutionized the production of cotton by greatly speeding up the process of removing the seeds from the cotton fiber. So Eli Whitney was traveling from up in the East Coast down to South Carolina, and he started talking with someone, and she explained to him how difficult it was for people to pick seeds out of cotton. And so he came up with a machine that did that. And the last are states: Mississippi, Illinois, Alabama, Maine, Missouri, and Arkansas. And these are all part of the America CD, which would be lots of fun to listen to in order. And then I want you to start taking maps of the United States, and I want you to start writing in the names of all of the ones that you've memorized. Can you do that? Send me a picture of it when you can. Right down there. All right? I look forward to seeing it. Now we've got Bella and Olivia. And Olivia is in our Reston campus, and Bella is in our Hamilton, Virginia campus. And between them is, do you hear praise? Do you need to hear praise when you do something good? Or can you trust that God sees you and will reward you himself? So do you need to hear the praise? Are you always saying, look what I did, look what I did? Or can you just trust that God sees you? When we receive praise here, we have no reward in heaven for that deed. Trust in Jesus so much that you do not need praise here is the sweetness that comes from a true relationship with him, meaning when you're so dependent on God that you're independent of the world, you know that Jesus hears you, and you know that Jesus sees you, And you know that you can trust that Jesus is going to reward you and that Jesus knows where your heart is. And so that's what we need to do, is be so dependent on God that we're independent of the world. So now here we have the 3 branches of the government of the United States. So remember when we were talking a couple weeks ago about the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists? They had a system, the Federalists had a system called checks and balances. And the checks and balances were the three branches of the government. And this was put into the Constitution of the 3 branches of government with very specific jobs for each branch. So the legislative branch is the Senate and the House of Representatives. Can you say that? The Senate and the House of Representatives. And their name, their legislate, if you look at the first part of that word, they are there to make laws, to say what the law should be in our country. They're also there to ratify treaties, and they have other specific jobs that are just for them. The next branch of government is in the middle. So let's go back to legislative. What could you draw for legislative branch? Well, they're the ones that are closest to the people. So maybe you could have like a couple of people up here, a couple of men and women up here, and then you could have little dots that show people down here, meaning they listen to the people, or they're supposed to. The next one is the executive branch. Can you say that? The executive branch. That's the president and the vice president of the United States. Those people, like the legislative, are elected to their post, and they serve for 4 years or 8 years, depending on if they're elected 1 or 2 times. So why don't you put a picture of yourself here as an older you as the President of the United States. Can you do that? The next is the judicial branch. Can you say judicial? Judicial branch, it's the highest court is in the judicial branch, and that is the Supreme Court. And there are 9 Supreme Court justices, and their job is to say whether a law or a case is constitutional or not constitutional. And that is their primary job. They are not supposed to legislate. Now, where do we see that? Whoop, right here. Legislate. They're not supposed to legislate from the bench. They're not supposed to make laws ever. That's not their job, is to make policy or make laws. They're only supposed to say if a law is constitutional or not. So would you draw a picture right here of maybe the Supreme Court, or maybe someone in black robes, or maybe yourself as a Supreme Court justice in the future? Can you do that? Now down here for the cotton gin, we're going to talk about that in science. If you want to get a little bit ahead, you can draw out a picture of a cotton gin right here, and you can find those pictures on our website if you want to. You don't have to do that. We can do that in class too. And the cotton gin was so significant because picking cotton out of the cotton balls, they're called BOLLS, bolls. And I actually, this should be an O there, not an A right there. It's actually cotton bolls. I think the spell check changed that on me. That was very time consuming because it was primarily enslaved people who were brought from Africa to the United States and held as slaves. They had to pick it out, and it took a lot of time to pick out those seeds. And so when Eli Whitney invented this machine, it made the picking a lot easier. But one of the consequences of that was that when it was easier, the landowners could plant more and more cotton, and they brought more and more slaves from Africa. So it was good because it sped up production. It was really tragic for many, many thousands of people as well. So that's it for our book. I'm so proud of the work that you're doing at Eden Hope Academy. I'm so proud to see all of these great pictures that you do every week, and I want you to keep sending them to me. So make sure you send them at kim@edenhopeacademy.com. I look forward to seeing them.